Hello and welcome back. Here we are, back again. Check it, direct it. Let's begin. Welcome to Coffee with Kia, episode 5. I'm Cassie Benedict, Director of Outreach Services.
I'm Keith Ritchie, Assistant Director of Outreach.
And today is a very special episode. I'm looking at Zach because I'm telepathically telling him to play some comforting, cozy music during this time in the episode. It's a very special episode because we have the one, the only Kentucky Counseling Association College and Career Counselor of the Year.
Yeah.
Our Southern Kentucky Senior Outreach Counselor, Miss MacKenzie Massey, joining us today.
Right.
We should get a class thing in the back.
Oh, they can do that. They can do that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hi, friends.
What kind of operation do you think this is?
I had no idea. I just tore the thing off the speaker.
She did.
Or not the microphone.
She's broken her mic. She's been here 5 minutes.
I know.
She's been here 5 minutes. She broke a mic and spilled some coffee.
Like bull in the china shop.
And also, confession, I don't think Mackenzie's ever listened to it.
I've listened to all 3 of them.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I love it. That makes me really happy.
Oh, and I know. I literally just finished the 3rd one because I hadn't got a chance to finish it.
We thought we were the only ones that listened. And my mother.
I've listened to all of them.
Okay. Well, now your mom will start listening since you're on it. And
She
there's our
doesn't even
5th
know.
listener.
That's basically our marketing strategy. If we get enough of our mothers involved with
There you
this, I mean, we're
go.
really onto
There
something
you
special.
go.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
All right, Mackenzie,
Ma'am.
tell us about yourself.
I'm the Southern Kentucky Outreach Counselor. I've been working for Kia, I think, coming on 3 years. I don't even remember my start date.
No, even Kia doesn't remember.
Yeah,
Start
it's
date.
either February, March, or April. So we could be celebrating 3 years
It
now.
was a start season. For you.
We have if you look back around our records, like we have multiple start dates for Mackenzie. So we're
Yes.
not. She just kept coming back for
But
her first day.
In my defense, I celebrate each start date that we have. So my name is MacKenzie Massey. I'm the Southern Kentucky Outreach Counselor. I have 13 counties to the south, and I'm trying to think of like a random fact about myself.
Oh yeah.
My mom is my best friend, so if I asked her to listen to the podcast, she'd be like, "If you just send me the link," and then I'd have to tell her how to click on it, but she would listen. I have a dog named Harley that is like my entire life.
Shout out to Harley.
Yes.
Watching at home.
Very much. With her little glasses on, tuned in on the couch with her coffee cup that says "Best Dog." And this past year, my wonderful boyfriend built me a chicken coop. So now I have 2 hens and a rooster.
And the best eggs this side of the Allegheny.
They're so boring though, because they're white eggs. I wanted like blue eggs. I wanted brown eggs. It looks like I literally just put them in the coop out of the store.
She's been handing out eggs to everybody, but really they're just from Kroger.
Honestly,
she just wants to look cool.
When I first saw that there were eggs in there, like my first eggs ever, I was convinced that my neighbor felt really bad for me because he would see me like walk out to check the coop all the time and there wouldn't be eggs. And so I was like, he probably just bought them and put them in there.
Those chickens are costing her neighbor a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
He's in too deep now.
Well,
He's
now
been in for too long.
I
To
really
be honest, I didn't know eggs came out white. I thought that was like.
You thought that people just bleached
painted
them?
them?
Right,
Did they
I thought
paint
that was like a, the big egg industry type of thing.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, he knows a lot about financial aid and not a lot about biology.
I
Yeah,
live
I
in
was about to
Cincinnati, okay?
I was about to
I don't
say,
know a whole lot
he's a
about
city
farming
boy.
Tell me
stuff.
you're
Yeah,
a city slicker.
I'm a city
with
mouse.
that.
Yeah.
It's actually, the color of the egg is actually based off the chicken's ears. So, fun fact for
I
the
didn't
day.
know chickens had
I didn't either.
You all have to go to
Take a
farm.
field trip.
Yeah.
Take a field
Oh my
trip.
gosh, I used to work for a mobile petting zoo and pony ride place. I could just bring the petting zoo to Kia.
Yes.
I know
Like,
that
that's an
Joe
idea.
would just be like, absolutely
Right.
not.
I'm like, I'm not into animals. They smell terrible.
Oh my gosh. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love every minute of it.
Yeah.
We're so glad you're here to join us. We thought that our handful of listeners needed a new voice to listen to.
I like it.
And in a little bit here, Mackenzie's going to talk to us a little bit about mine and Keith's day-to-day job is very different than what MacKenzie does. We do a lot of kind of the managerial stuff, the personnel stuff, the big picture planning, the partnerships, things like that. And then we podcast on the side. MacKenzie is in the field, actually direct service of filing FAFSAs. And so we thought it would be nice to get her in here and give us some kind of reports from the field, what she's seeing in the world. And so it was pretty soon we're going to get into that. And then the other thing we're going to share you.
Here.
We're gonna share you. Viewers can call in and give us their own chicken coop story. We are going to share with you. It does help if you say all the words in the sentence. We are going to share with you some news, even more frustrating, coming down the pike about the 24-25 FAFSA. But first, a little coffee talk, if you will. The coffee talk of today is, what traditionally popular movie have you not seen? What is a movie that you feel like everybody's seen that movie, but you personally have never seen that movie?
I've got a good one.
Okay.
I have never seen in my life, all the way from the start to finish, Star Wars. I've seen like bits and pieces here and there, but it's just never been my thing. I feel like I've got enough problems to worry about here on Earth to start worrying about other planets' problems. So I'll admit I've never seen Star Wars.
Keith's
in my
nerd
life.
card was just officially revoked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I saw McKenzie's shaking her head. You've also never seen them.
I haven't even
Friends
watched like 10 minutes of one.
Yeah.
And also you didn't have brother. And not that it's a.
I have a brother.
Oh, I know. We've literally been very good friends for all the time she's worked here.
If it makes you, oh man, what if he sees this? He won't.
I'm so sorry, Mackenzie's brother. I didn't know you existed.
I forgot.
That you have a brother.
Yeah, like I don't really talk to him. I have one. Just
Okay.
For the record. But also,
If you're out there.
he's 19.
call in
he's
now.
19 years my senior.
Oh.
So
Oh,
he's-
okay.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't raised with your brother in the house.
Um,
And not that Star Wars is a gender specific
No,
movie. I don't want
he
to
wasn't.
put out the
raised-
wrong
He
message.
wasn't raised with me in the house, but when my parents were together, he was around very often. 5 minutes.
I didn't even know he existed.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so what I was gonna say was it wouldn't shock me that you hadn't seen Star Wars, because I grew up in a house full of boys, and so they all watched it, and I, like Keith said, like I've never sat down and watched front to back Star Wars, but I saw it as I was like walking through, and they were lightsaber and cutting off hands and
I've seen enough pieces of it where I can kind of piece together what it is, the
What
gist
happens,
of it.
right.
And that's probably part of the reason why I've never actually committed to sitting down and watching the thing.
sure.
I'm like, he's his father, lightsabers. end of the
Spoiler
story,
alert.
Cut to black.
It's so funny.
Sorry to
because
spoil the 50-year-old movie.
One of my best friends' husbands is probably the largest Star Wars fanatic. Like
Physically or
She-
like
she literally just sent a picture from their wedding that she didn't know that they took, and they're holding lightsabers, like as adults, and they're like
as grown-ups at their
Yeah.
wedding.
like literally as adults. Like he has a Mandalorian wedding ring.
Wow.
His birthday is May the 4th.
Whoa.
I
It's like
know.
he was born to
Yeah.
be a Star Wars
That
fan.
nerd card you took away from me, just give it to him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Honestly,
He has
he's
them
the-
all.
Oh,
Right.
the original
Collector's edition
The original
nerd cards.
card belongs to him.
I love it. I love it. But that he's never made you sit through them.
I physically won't.
Right.
I can't get on board. This sounds terrible. I haven't seen like Star Wars.
What? And we're back after a bit of a technical glitch. Now, Mackenzie and I are sharing a microphone, but sharing is caring.
Yes.
So that's all right with us. We're used to being this close to each other. Okay, so we're going to stop talking about Star Wars, which is a movie that no one in this room has seen, and yet somehow we filled 3 minutes of the podcast talking about a movie.
I at least walk away feeling vindicated for never seeing it. Now that it sounds like
It's
I'm
not
amongst
just me.
everyone.
The
who
cheese
has not
no
done it.
longer stands alone.
Right.
Keith.
Yeah.
All right, Mackenzie,
Popular movie you've never seen.
I haven't seen like the classics, if you want me to be honest.
Okay.
I haven't.
What's considered a classic? We are a different age generation here.
So
She'll
okay,
be like
a
Days to
perfect,
Confused.
a perfect, a perfect Christmas classic, like
It's a Wonderful Life.
The Wonderful Life. Never seen that. I don't even know.
Hashtag worth it.
This one's really gonna mess you up. I haven't seen Sleeping Beauty and the Seven Dwarfs or Snow White.
Well, the dwarfs belong to Snow White, not Sleeping Beauty.
I haven't seen The Apple or the Dwarf.
Clearly, she's not seen it because she thinks Sleeping Beauty is sleeping with just seven dwarfs staring at her.
I don't know. Don't they both fall asleep?
They do.
Okay.
There's a lot of sleeping happening in those 1940s Disney films.
Well, I have not seen that Disney movie.
Okay.
I know I'm the absolute worst.
No,
I
they're
grew up
both
on
really
John Wayne.
Yeah,
Oh
there
my
we go.
gosh.
Sorry.
Are you kidding me? I love John Wayne.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's good stuff.
Yeah, when I found out that he died in like 1976, my whole world was ruined for like a week when I was 6 years old because he's who I wanted to meet.
That's amazing.
I love John Wayne. John Wayne's my
She's
hero.
like an onion, folks. The layers just...
Did John Wayne surprise you?
It does surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
I
gonna
was
lie, I was
gonna
not
say-
expecting that.
Ultimately, you are a cowboy at heart.
Mhm.
So, I do get it.
We had a John Wayne bathroom. It was called the John's John. I kid you not. My mom still has.
Just like John Wayne memorabilia.
So he hung above the toilet.
His
And-
actual corpse.
I have John Wayne. No, it was a picture of John Wayne, and we also had like boot wallpaper, and the top, like, I don't know if y'all had wallpaper in your house. We did. My whole house was wallpapered at one point, but the bottom half was just like boot wallpaper, and the top half of it, when you had like your little border, was a cattle drive. I used to go in there, just like sit. It was the best bathroom ever.
Is this bathroom open to the public? Is this something I can use
My mom,
at some point?
My mom, once like wallpaper went down, we actually had the John's John for a long time, and then we ended up selling that house, but she tore the wallpaper down.
Someone bought the house
Yeah.
with that thing?
No, not with the John's
with
John.
the corpse in
But
the bathroom?
if we called my mom right now, she would tell you where it is because it's hanging in her bathroom. The corpse? No, the picture of John Wayne. And beside her toilet is just average John Wayne reading. We all love John Wayne, okay? He's a great man.
So you watched those movies, but you didn't watch Snow White.
Yeah, there
Okay.
was.
Did you see the original True Grit with John Wayne? It's one of my favorites.
My all-time favorite John Wayne movie
We're
is The Cowboys.
actively losing viewers.
You're lying. We are just hitting a different demographic.
Yeah.
that Cassie's dad demographic. That's it.
Well, I guess
65-year-old retired
We'll-
men are
we'll
all about
talk
this
about-
conversation.
Yeah.
and they are the backbone of this country.
We'll
talk
continue
John
to John
Wayne
Wayne.
later.
Yeah,
Anyways,
okay.
I've never seen the Flippin' Princess
Yeah.
movies, but I know all about
Yeah.
John Wayne.
Okay,
I've
and
got
you've
so
never
many
seen
questions.
It's a Wonderful Life. I know. You've never seen It's a Wonderful... So,
Never seen this one.
worth it. I had only first watched It's a Wonderful Life maybe like a year or two ago.
Oh, really?
It's a good one.
Yeah, because if it's black and white, I'm out.
Isn't it
Like,
right?
I'm
Isn't
like,
it really sad though?
it's very
I don't wanna
sad.
feel
But
sad
it
at
doesn't
Christmas.
end
I mean, it turns the
sadly.
corner at the
Yeah.
end.
It's a good ending.
I don't want to spoil another
I know.
80-year-old movie.
Now I don't have to watch Star Wars.
Literally, like, what is it when it's something so old that you don't have to copyright it anymore?
Oh,
What
I
does
know,
that
yeah.
mean?
I don't know what the term is, but I know what you're talking
We don't know. There's been so much John Wayne
Public
talk.
domain, right?
Public domain. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally a public domain movie. We're like, don't spoil the ending. Okay, so mine is Mean Girls. Right? Never seen Mean Girls.
about. I haven't either.
Boo.
I know, right? I feel like
Seen
it
that.
came out. So college was different when and can you hear me like at all? Okay. Do you want to hear me like at all? College, when I went to college, you didn't get free cable. Cable was like $50 a month,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
none of us had $50 a month, and so no one watched television. Like we didn't watch television. Televisions weren't on in people's dorm rooms. Like at least my hall. I don't know if that was all of Transy where I went, but like we didn't watch television. We didn't really watch movies. We didn't have money to go to the movies. We went to Transy. So
Oh no, you had money. You were just spending on different things. You went to Transy.
and education. Thank you, Cap Grant and Kentucky Tuition Grant. This coffee with Kia is brought to you by Cassie State Grant. But no, we didn't watch things, and so I think it came out around that time that maybe I was like getting ready to graduate. I don't know what year it came out. Anyone? Bueller? I don't know.
Like
What, Mean
what,
Girls?
like
Mean
09?
Girls.
Oh,
Oh.
I think it's earlier than that.
I was gonna say I was
Oh.
not in college. Our producer is googling it.
I'm gonna
currently.
say 03 or 04.
I think it's in the 2000.
04.
Ding ding
There we
ding ding
go.
ding.
Oh, I thought it was like 09.
Don't out trivia the trivia master.
You didn't even watch it.
It wasn't me. He's the trivia master. I didn't know when it came out. I just knew it came out when I was in college because that whole span of time, I didn't watch anything. Like, I don't know any pop culture during that time because we were in what we called the transy bubble. So, no, I haven't seen Mean Girls. But
We're gonna have to watch that.
right. We'll
it's
have to get
classic.
together and watch. Well, you'll come stay the night at my house,
Okay.
and my kids will watch Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, and you can watch it with them.
I'll bring Harley.
They'll love it.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. You guys are not invited to that. Okay. So let's get into some actual things that people actually want to hear today about the FAFSA. MacKenzie, you live the FAFSA right now. We know how hard you're working. We know how much you're working. You're like living in the field, filing FAFSAs all day, every day. Tell us what that's like, what you're seeing, and you can be, this is a candid podcast, so you don't have to, we know it's not all rainbows and butterflies, so you can be, it is a family show.
Oh,
But
noted. I'm probably the one to warn with that one. I'm also not the person that you answer on speakerphone. So for the future.
That is true.
For future reference.
I will vouch for that.
So I took the entire first week of January off because none of my schools were scheduled. I did not want to be in the field for the first couple days that the FAFSA was going to be out. But I wasn't there the second week, and there were struggles. And then it was going to be great because the soft launch was done. We were open. It was fantastic. But then we still have a lot of unanswered questions. And then the federal government hit us with another bomb that I'm sure we're going to talk about today. So I think a lot of things that I'm doing in the field right now is reassurance. Am I filing FAFSA? Absolutely. But I'm also reassuring parents and students. The entire nation is on a delay right now. It's not just Kentucky. It's not just you. It's not just your mom. It's not because you went to XYZ school. The entire nation is on just a delay. I talked to a football coach yesterday from a college in Kentucky, and he asked me, "Do you know what the timeline is for football?" I was like, "Do you think the federal government cares what the timeline?" I didn't say that. I was like, "I do. I know that you're."
She texted me that, and I said, I hear college or high school college coaches across Kentucky, like their heads simultaneously exploding when they hear that the federal student aid people don't bow down to their sport timeline.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand because you have a lot of kids who want to sign. You have a lot of kids who can't sign until they figure out how much money they're going to get. And then you have coaches who see talent. And I know for a fact that the kid that he was talking about is talented. And he doesn't want him to sign with anybody else. So that's kind of where we're at. But I think
what he should know is there's no other school that's going to be offering him any money, an aid package at this point either.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. These FAFSA delays. I mean, it's like a domino effect. Anything that is waiting on that information is just going to have to be on hold across the board. And I know a lot of our messaging throughout, the state has been patience. That eventually it will get better because there's not a whole lot that anyone can do to speed it along at this point.
Right. And that was a shock to him, but it was also a shock to the student that he wasn't the only one that's getting this email of a missing signature. I know that there's not a missing signature. I know that that's incorrect right now. His SAI is not going to calculate because it says we're missing a signature. However, we know we can't get back into the FAFSA right now. We cannot access the form again once it's been submitted. So we're unable to change that. And on my end and on the student's end, when we go in and look at it, those signatures are there. So I think it's one of those things where it's just a glitch. And I think it's one thing that is going to have to be worked out. But that is stressful. And I also have to remind myself, these high school seniors this year, their first year of high school was COVID. So they have weathered the storm. I mean, they have weathered the storm. So I often have to remind myself that it's panicky for students because it feels like every single time something always is happening. And it is.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought, like, this group
would
is
be
our
that
first
crew.
COVID group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I have to remind myself of that. So a lot of my job in the field right now, and I think you're going to see that with every outreach counselor, because we are people and we know compassion, especially because we don't want to get yelled and screamed at either about why the FAFSA is not working, because we can't do anything about it.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of my job is reassuring students it will get done. Is it going to be delayed? Absolutely. Are you going to see your aid notification, your financial aid package later in the year? Yes. But is it going to be the same time that everybody else is getting it? Yes.
Also, yeah.
So at least we're delayed together.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, MacKenzie, I know you mentioned the glitches. What would you say to like a parent who is seeing like an error message where they know 100% they put in the information correctly? What I'm hearing from outreach counselors and other partners throughout the state, not a whole lot of success calling like the 1-800 number right now. Do you have any idea of like, things that you've seen to be more successful, or is it really just a waiting game?
So I think it's a little bit of both. My go-to, turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I suggest. Log out and log back in.
Right.
Switch your browser up. Clear your cache. Get on a different
That sounds
device.
simple, but sometimes it works. I mean,
It does.
It's
It
worth a
is.
shot, and it's better than
Right.
waiting on hold for 45 minutes or an hour, or
Right.
maybe not ever getting in touch with someone.
And honestly, I think the biggest helpful piece, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form tooting my own horn whatsoever, because I know that every single outreach counselor is dealing with it. We're considered the experts because we experience hundreds, if not thousands, of FAFSAs each year. I mean, my senior class, I probably did between, I'm going to say, around 1,000 to 1,200 FAFSAs last year that I had been a part of, based on my senior numbers, based on my college numbers. So I see a lot of it. I think the first person that you should call when things don't look right, or the first person that you should email or text, as long as it's like at a reasonable time. Don't be texting me at 10:45. You know who you are.
read out the phone number.
Yeah. Don't think I won't. No. But call your outreach counselor. Hey, this is what I'm seeing. And if you're anything like, if your outreach counselor is anything like me, which you should probably pray that they are, if they're anything like me, they're going to say, send me a screenshot of it, let me see it. Or call me, what's your login, and I'll look at it from my end. And sometimes I can tell you, does this email match the email that mom put on her FSA ID? Is mom's name Beth or is it Elizabeth? And so it's some things that we can troubleshoot, and I think that that's very helpful. But some things we just can't. So and it's stressful when the federal government is basically like, hey, we're just going to drop some things here and there. So I had an issue yesterday, and I did get a hold of somebody on the chat, but it was about 45 minutes after I started the chat. I didn't even try calling. I wouldn't call, honestly, right now until they open it all up.
Can we stop for a minute and appreciate just how Southern MacKenzie is getting as she gets passionate about this? She started out very like,
I will try.
And no, we love it. We love it. But now she's like, I don't call.
Right.
Don't
We
call.
start out in
Martha?
Frankfurt. Now we're around the Tennessee
Well,
border.
okay, so I grew up in Dry Ridge, Kentucky, which is northern Kentucky,
Yeah.
and every time that I go home,
So
they're
that
like,
accent is unexplainable.
well, now I live right outside Somerset, which is, you hear banjos playing as soon as you cross over that Somerset line. So I try to be I try to not let it come out
But girl,
I try to enunciate very well and do things, and then I forget once I get going. I forget that I have to.
the more passionate you got about talking about this, the more and more, and I was just like in awe of it. I was like
Listen.
watching. I was like just going down the holler.
Yeah.
Well,
with you.
I'm gonna sound like a straight up banjo in a minute.
He's
let
gonna be
me-
talking, and then the FAFSA and the dong 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 dong.
I'll pull out a piece of straw to put in my mouth. Okay, so let me try to get that back.
Sorry, I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt
you're
you.
fine. So I finally did get a hold of some. Now I have to like really focus on it.
Don't even think about it.
I tried to get a hold of somebody on the chat. I finally did, and the response was not at all what I wanted to hear. And it was, we're seeing this more and more. We're trying to get it worked out. I actually took a picture of it because I wanted people to believe me that it said, you know, this is something that we're seeing over and over and over again. We're going to try to work it out. Just kind of bear with us kind of thing. And it was nice to know, like, okay, they are seeing this a lot, but it was also stressful because I'm like, this student doesn't care. This student just wants to get it filed so they can go back to their dual credit class and not miss any more, you know, not miss any more time during a FAFSA workshop. So
what I'm hearing is that even when you say like you're not alone in this, that's not enough of a comfort anymore.
no, it's not, because while we're not alone, like, great, yeah, whatever, but this is a student's future. This is something that, especially me, I mean, I work in higher education, so I have been talking to these kids about their plans since 8th grade. I mean, we talk, and this is a perfect explanation of what I do, what works for me in my territory. We talk about keys in 8th grade.
Which is Southern.
Clearly,
Texas.
evidently, it's in the middle of nowhere. When I tell people where I live, they're like, that's not a real place. But Keith went there. We have a fabulous coffee shop.
I have been.
Yeah.
I've been.
It's legit.
It's legit.
Yeah.
Right? See,
And it's next
I
to a
said
library.
right,
I
not
gave a Kia
right.
presentation at the library, and you swore that library didn't exist.
he's like, have you ever been to the library in Nancy? Homie, there is no
There-
library in
No,
I
Nancy.
have
there's
given-
no library in
I
Nancy.
have given
MacKenzie
a summer
is the
reading
only
check
one that lives
out
there.
to a little kid at the Nancy Library who won one of our contests about 10 years ago.
Nancy is population
Unless I dreamed
2.
it, which is
one of them
certainly
is
a possibility.
MacKenzie, the other one is Harley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen.
Keith dreamed that.
Yeah, that wasn't a real thing. So I've been talking to these students in the southern part of Kentucky. 8th grade, we talk about keys. 9th grade, we talk about keys. 10th grade, we start to plan. We start to do things. We start to talk about dual credit. We start to talk about AP. We start to talk about the benefits. Junior year, we start. Are you laughing at me right now?
You're like, 9th grade, we talk about keys. 10th grade, we talk about K's.
You know what?
11th grade, we talk about kids. I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you. I'm really not.
What do you think that
I'm
is?
just so amused.
I'm just gonna swallow my accent really fast.
I'm just so amused by it.
Now I have to like focus to sound differently.
You sound fine. I'm sorry.
Dadgummit. Okay.
You sound fine.
I will
I'm
say one thing
sorry.
you had mentioned, in terms of reaching out and not getting like the response that we hope for, right? Because
Mhm.
anytime someone reaches out to the hotline or the call center or the chat feature, you're hoping to get whatever issue that you're experiencing resolved, and we're
Right,
not
yeah.
really seeing that a whole lot. So I know, I was with David Scott, our Central Kentucky outreach counselor, who covers like Lexington, Frankfort, Georgetown area, and I was with him the other day at a FAFSA workshop. One of the things that I think that our team is trying to do when we're out and about in the community is to try to check off of our list of anything that could be on our end, meaning the student. Like, for instance, one thing that we've seen a lot of things that are causing some errors are like putting a space at the end of your name or your address. Like, I feel like we've heard these types of things. So I think it's important that we try to like check off all of those things
Just laid it
before we
egg.
fight through the customer service line.
We are gonna have to. Those were both of my phones.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
We
We'll
don't
just leave
edit.
them there.
We don't edit.
No.
No editing.
No.
No. We're just.
No one told me.
There,
Well, we're gonna have to
I
do
mean,
something.
there's 2 broken eggs down there. She
Yeah.
laid an egg.
Do not ever ask me to go to coffee with Kia.
Yeah.
Again, I will not. Anyways,
Sorry.
so we talk about these kids' futures for a long time. And it got messed up their 9th grade year with COVID. It wasn't normal their sophomore year. Junior year, we started to even out. Now, senior year, every single thing is different.
Mhm.
Every single thing that we're talking about. So we prep them, and then we have to tell them to wait. Like,
Yeah.
you need to be planning on the front end. You need to be doing these things on the front end. You need to be doing a lot of stuff in the fall semester. And then it's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, we're also not going to be able to file FAFSA. Oh, I forgot to tell you, we're not going to be able to do this. And it's very stressful. It is very stressful. I hope the federal government listens to this, honestly. We need to add federal student aid. It's very stressful for outreach because I have told everybody a specific date. This is what we're looking at. This is what we're looking for. If you go on forums, that's what you see. If you're on Facebook, if you follow Student Aid on Twitter, if you follow, whatever it is, we tell these students, wait until this date. It should be open at this date. They should be able to see it this date. And now we have to go back and be like, oh, I forgot to tell you. Or, oh, drop the ball. So I have students who I said, put a reminder in your phone for February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd, whatever it is, text me. I'm going to get 50,000 text messages from kids across my
That's why your phones fell on the floor.
Yeah, pretty
They
much.
just
It just
vibrated
gave
right
up.
off.
And now I have to tell them again, we have to wait.
Yeah.
Again.
Let's stop for a second and get into the additional weight because I feel like we're kind of dancing around it, and no, it's okay, because I want people to know the latest guidance that has come from federal student aid. And just for frame of reference, we're filming this. What is today? February 1st. February 1st. We're filming this February 1st, just a couple of days ago. So originally they came out with, we forgot to adjust the income protection allowance charts. And okay, here's another disclaimer. We explain all this in depth in the last Coffee with Kia, but we might edit that out. We don't know, because it drops tomorrow based on when we're filming. I know this is confusing, but really that's outdated information now because we have clarification. So anyways, income protection allowances, portion of your income that's sheltered, doesn't go into the SAI, Student Aid Index calculation. They did not adjust that income protection allowance, the tables that you use for the calculation, for inflation. Huge inflation over the last 3 years. Part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act, you have to adjust for inflation. They didn't do it.
And I will say that, like, with all of the frustration of the delays and everything, at least the good news about that is when we're talking about this inflation adjustment, at the end of the day, when the dust settles and this thing is working how it should, it's going to mean more money for more people.
Right.
So I think that's important to realize that there are going to be more folks this aid cycle that will get, like, need-based aid who wouldn't have in the old way of
Previously.
doing the FAFSA.
Right. And they're saying, they have given us a number we don't know how they calculated that number, but we're talking to the tune of $1.8 billion of extra federal aid made available to students by adjusting this income protection allowance for inflation. When they came out with that statement, when they issued that statement, they didn't give us the timeline. They just said, we're going to do it this year. And so we didn't know, like, okay, well, is FAFSA data going to be delivered to colleges that's incorrect? And then they're going to reprocess these FAFSAs and send it to the colleges? Or is there going to be an even bigger delay? Well, a couple of days after Kia posted our announcement that said, they are adjusting this, more money, but potential more delays, they came out and said, definitely more delays. Now they're looking at the first half of March is when colleges will get FAFSA data, okay? And just for a history lesson, last year and all previous years, you filed your FAFSA, 3 days processing time, and the colleges would have it after 3 days. Even if you filed it the minute it opened, 3 days later they had your FAFSA data. Now we're looking at, if you filed it December 30th when it opened, I can't do the math on that, 2.5 months of nothing happening, not even processing. And there's 2 sets of processing that happen. So the feds process your FAFSA, and then the college processes your FAFSA so that they can create your award notification, aid notification, excuse me. So we are hearing this newest statement, the newest guidance is nothing will be made available to the colleges until the first half. That's the exact wording they use. We looked it up this morning. The first half of March, which to me says sometime before March 15th. The other thing that I was thinking about on the way in this morning that they haven't made clear to us is how are they going to roll out? They're saying at this point, on February 1st, 3 million FAFSAs have been filed. Wow. Are they just going to hit a button and they're all going to drop in the college's inboxes? Like, are they going to roll it out slowly? Is it going to be like a dam and they just open the dam and here it all comes? Are they going to let it trickle? Are they going to send test files that then become, we don't know. Right. That's guidance that we haven't heard. All we know is, and, you know, we talked about this last time, but the aid offices who now have to turn around and process prospective and current students' aid notifications, having not even touched, looked at, seen their data until potentially mid-March.
And the other side of this coin, this is obviously delaying the processing side on like the college's behalf, and which is going to cause that domino effect of not getting the award notifications or the aid notifications until later, which delays the decision-making process for prospective students. But the other side of this coin is, let's say you're a student or a parent and you've already completed your FAFSA and you forgot to put a college on there, or maybe you made a mistake. There's something you need to make an update or a correction
about. You got some sort of weird glitch, excuse me, my mouth just glitched, that didn't allow you to put a parent signature in.
Right.
Which has been a common glitch.
Yeah.
And then,
so we're waiting for that same process to happen, because you can't go in and reopen a FAFSA that's been submitted and it's processing. So every student that I've encountered and every parent that I've encountered who has already submitted their FAFSA, who was fortunate enough to be able to get to the finish line, if they log on to studentaid.gov, they're seeing in review or processing still. And it's not like you can't go back in and change anything. Whereas before, in a normal year, you submit that thing and, oh, whoops, I made a mistake, or I left a college off my list. Wait a few days, and then you're good to go back in, make updates and corrections. That updates and corrections button is not going to happen until the processing is over. So that part is not just on the college's end, but even on the family's end, they're not even able to go in and make any sort of edits or adjustments until mid-March at this point.
And like Cassie said, we don't know how that's going to work. We don't know if it's going to be a gate that opens. But we also don't know if after the gate opens, how many days is it going to be for students to go back in and make those corrections? Just like you said, we don't have a timeline of that. So, and also something that you said reminded me of it. We have schools who, on a year where FAFSA opened in October, they're not sending out aid notifications, award letters, financial aid. They're not sending that out until March as it is. So now, we don't know when kids are going to get their aid notification, because if it was March on a normal year, we have no idea what it's going to be now.
Right.
And that's the hardest part, is the unknown.
And like we said last time, like we've beat into people's heads. May 1 is when you have to let your colleges know what you're going to do. That's your national candidate selection reply date. There's no possible way.
One thing that I'm hearing a lot from phone calls from families are concerns about like certain deadlines that are in and above just like on the college side, but certain scholarship programs or need-based programs that are somehow affiliated with the data from the FAFSA. And, there are scholarship programs and different things that are out there, not just in Kentucky, but across the nation, that require some sort of proof that the FAFSA was filed, and it shows like your student aid index. And I will say what I'm hearing from some of these organizations is that some have decided to take things like a screenshot of just the congrats, exactly, which doesn't really show a whole lot, but it could at least be a placeholder if you're experiencing like this worry of, I've got this priority deadline for whatever program this is, and I'm afraid I'm not going to hear anything back until then. It may be worth a phone call or an email to that organization to see if that will at least suffice, at least in the short term.
Right. And that, and all of this, we're not even touching the fact that there's an entire population that can't even access the FAFSA at this point. and that is the students whose parents are undocumented. We are going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor. I'm not going to do it this time. He'll edit me in, so I'm not going to do it this time. But there's a good chance it's going to be my voice you have to listen to again. Here's a word from our sponsor, but when we come back, we'll talk about just continued frustrations and the implications of the delay, and then we're going to offer some guidance that whatever guidance we have, we're going to take a break and figure out what that guidance is. No, we're going to talk about some guidance that we have for you moving forward with the delays, and then maybe we'll make you laugh like once or twice more before we close up today. All right, and now a word from our sponsor.
Do you need help paying for college? Your first step is completing a FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. The 24-25 FAFSA will be available in late December 2023 and is more user-friendly. More students will be eligible for aid than ever before. Kia counselors and others are ready to help you. You're not in this alone. For more information, use the QR code or text money to 800-928-8926. Or you can visit gearupky.org/money.
And we're back again with our guest star, MacKenzie Massey. Before the break, we talked, I mentioned very quickly, undocumented, the population of students who still really can't even file the FAFSA. And so for that, we're talking about students whose parents do not have Social Security numbers. You know, we were told, it was touted that we would have this ability to create FSA IDs for those parents, and it was going to work beautifully. And thus far, none of those things have really been the case.
I know Federal Student Aid had mentioned that, this new partnership with TransUnion, like the credit agency, would allow folks to be able to go through this process. And I know, you and I had sat in on several trainings about this leading up to the opening of the FAFSA. And, I remember some of the questions being asked, like, how likely is it that an undocumented parent would be able to go through that TransUnion verification process? And we were reassured that an overwhelming majority of folks would be able to get their identity verified through this. And it just hasn't worked how it was initially planned. To make it worse, I can tell you this, that, that second layer of support to help get through that FSA ID process is to reach out to the 1-800 number, which, as we already mentioned, has not been a doable thing for hardly anyone at this point. I think I've seen one family go through the process where they were able to submit like passports and some other identification documents, but even in that situation, the one time I saw it successfully at least be submitted, well, that doesn't mean they have an FSA ID. It doesn't mean it's been processed yet. It means that the parents have sent in what they need to send in. My biggest concern, though, is if this TransUnion process doesn't work in a timely manner, how many undocumented parents have one of the things listed on the approvable document list?
Right.
That's something, because I would venture to say that there are going to be quite a few situations where that's not going to be something that's doable.
And really, just to drill down even further, is, you're referencing parents and students who have come to a Kia outreach counselor to get help.
Right.
If there are parents out there who don't have Social Security numbers and they're wanting to go through this process and they're not sitting right next to a Kia outreach counselor, like, I really feel for that population of parent. Lene is not with us. She's still alive. She's fine. But if she were here, she would say, scooch over this way. So everyone scooch over.
Oh, am I falling off the
No,
camera?
like
she would say,
like literally,
Yeah.
everyone
Scooch over.
needs to scooch over.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, check that frame. It's like half of this wall and almost none of Keith. So really, it
It's an
looks good.
improvement. Right.
Let's stay with that. Okay. All right, we have scouched over. That's the past tense.
Yeah.
Scooch. Anyways, so yes, that's the population that we worry about. And to top it all off, there's no updated timeline for that system to be up and running.
And to me, I think that that's probably the most frustrating thing to me. I understand the delays. I understand things don't work how we plan all the time, but the lack of being able to tell a family when to expect this to be resolved, that's hard.
Absolutely.
And I feel for anyone who's going through that, and I wish I had a better answer.
Mhm.
But legit, that is the official response, is that there is no real time frame for this to get resolved.
Right.
So we're really kind of just in this holding pattern until we
Right.
hear more.
And I mean, the one piece of good news for these parents is that nobody's FAFSAs are getting processed. So,
Mhm.
like,
Right.
the fact that you can't file isn't really putting you behind, we don't think. Because, again, we don't know. Are they releasing ICERs, that FAFSA data on the college side as like a first in, first out? Is it, we just don't know. But we're all on the same playing field in that no ones are being processed at this point.
What I honestly, and this isn't like an official Kia response or anything like that, but in my
These
heart of
views do
hearts,
not represent
right? Yeah, there
his
we go.
employer.
Yeah, but I think in my heart of hearts, what's going to end up happening, I think the idea of deadlines and stuff, I think there's just going to have to be a lot of grace in this spring
Absolutely.
semester as we get closer and closer to packaging, and I,
Mhm.
when you start thinking, like, we haven't even really started talking about like financial aid verification. Will that even be able to be a thing this year,
Right.
given the delays that we're already experiencing?
And the
I feel
number of
like
FAFSAs.
something's going to have to give.
Yes. The number of FAFSAs I feel like that will need to be verified, that we were kind of led to believe there would be many fewer, and we don't necessarily feel that way anymore. And when is verification going to happen? Yeah, like we're just scratching the surface.
Because I mean, there's going to come a point where the fall semester is going to start,
Right.
and like we're still cleaning things up. So I feel like something's going to have to give, and to the credit of the college access field and the colleges and universities, I have heard a lot of organizations talk about being more relaxed with
Right.
students and
Right.
getting rid of some deadlines. And I know other states, we're blessed in Kentucky to have a first come
Mhm.
first serve kind of system
Right.
instead of. Could you imagine the amount of stress we'd be under if like we were coming up on like a priority
Some
deadline
sort
for
of
state
priority
aid?
deadline. Right.
So so I think my lucky stars that we don't have that in Kentucky, but I
Right.
know other states have had to scramble to
Right.
get rid of some of those deadlines.
One thing that one thing that I really want to reiterate is, this news. I think there's no way to get around. This news is disappointing.
Mhm.
This timeline is disappointing. The delays are disappointing, and I think for everyone,
Mhm.
I think even for the Department of Ed and federal student aid, I really don't see anyone sitting there going, you know, now let's make them wait till March.
Right.
Like I don't see them. I think about that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio where he's going like, that
Yeah.
meme? And they're like, let's make them wait longer.
Right.
Like let's tell them this and then we'll do that. Like I can't imagine being a staff member at FSA or DOE right now and the scrutiny they're under and the pressure and how
I couldn't imagine being somebody in the call center
right.
taking a
Right.
phone call from me.
These frustrated parents, right?
I think a word that perfectly describes this right now is it's just a barrier right now. But barriers are movable, or you can just get over them. We just have to wait.
Right. Stick it out.
And that's what everyone doesn't want to do because
Right.
we are so used to this go, 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 deadline,
Yes.
deadline culture, especially in higher education, that we don't want to be told to wait.
Right.
So I think that that's a struggle.
Mm-hmm. So we don't want to leave you with no support and no tangible ways to navigate these delays. So MacKenzie and Keith, if you guys could offer up some advice on how to navigate the continued delays, what would you say?
That's good.
Not it.
So to me, knowing that we can't control the ability of whether or not the FAFSA is going to go through, and we can't really speed up the processing it all, that doesn't mean there aren't other things that you can work on during this time frame that'll put you in a better position for aid eligibility and just getting prepared in general for college. The way I look at it is take all of the FAFSA stuff and throw it out the window. At the end of the day, from a time frame standpoint, I've always preached and preached and preached. apply to as many schools as you could ever see yourself going to in the fall.
Right.
Send that FAFSA to all of them, and then wait until the spring anyway to get these award notifications back, and then make the best financial decision you can for you and your family. So I think this is, in some ways, this can be a great opportunity to take your time and really dive into the college options.
This is a forced pump the brakes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I do think, going back to like what you mentioned, MacKenzie, that, we have been trained in a way in our culture to hurry up, and on to the next task. Use this time to really dig into some research.
Right.
Ask questions, not just about the FAFSA, but ask admission reps about, different, nuances of this school versus this school. And I think that, just knowing that everything from a financial aid standpoint might be on hold, that doesn't mean admissions necessarily is on hold. It doesn't necessarily mean
Absolutely.
that, campus life related things
Right.
aren't on hold. So I think there's certainly enough that you can do when it comes to the financial aid piece, because obviously that's, in my opinion, one of the biggest pieces of that puzzle is how do you pay for it? You could always start looking for scholarships. Use this time to start padding whatever that FAFSA is going to bring us at the finish line, because at the end of the day, if you have that mentality of looking for scholarships and treating it like a part-time job, you'd be shocked at how much you could potentially stack up on top of one another.
And to kind of add to that, if you're in higher education or college access, this is a great time to really hone in on those kids that haven't made a decision. So if you're recruiting, perfect time to, talk to those students who haven't made a decision yet. If you're a student who hasn't made a decision and you're waiting on, the financial aspect to make a decision, I also think it's important to be taking those college tours, to be talking to students who are currently there, going to sports events, because while you thought that it may have been a financial decision that you're trying to figure out, it might not just be all based on that. There may be a college in your mind that pulls ahead because of something on campus, because of getting plugged in early on, because of following them on social media, because of this. There's a lot of things that you can be doing to get involved with the college life that doesn't have anything to do with financial aid.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to bid farewell to our fourth podcast member, the accent. She gone.
I'm not heated anymore. I'm not heated anymore.
Yeah.
Is it? Because now I okay.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Okay, good. Good.
That's dry ridge, MacKenzie.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That was so rough for
We
me.
never know if we're going to get the cowboy or the college access professional.
Since I have been sitting here, I don't know if you've noticed. Sorry, since I've been sitting here, I don't know if you've noticed. I haven't looked at the camera a whole lot. And I also am trying really hard to not sound like a banjo. I'm trying
Wait,
to be...
what camera? Oh.
Oh,
never mind. There it is.
We didn't see you come in.
Didn't see you there.
I didn't see you there. One day, Key is going to let us make a commercial where that's how we start it. Because Keith and I are dead set. It's going to be like
Yeah.
Hello.
Every time we've had to make a video,
didn't see you there.
we've started
That's
out
how
with
we
like
wanna-
that. Yeah, that's what we've
That's
said
how we wanna
at some
start
point
it.
in our
That was
meeting.
so weird.
We are.
Yeah.
Keith, I think you had one more recommendation. Did you?
Just looking for scholarships.
It's on
and
this paper if you don't remember.
Yeah, thank
Net
you,
price
thank you.
calculator.
Yeah. So a couple things.
It's in the notes I wrote you. It's in your script that
Thank you.
we
Yeah.
script out word for word this entire podcast.
Right.
And he
Yeah.
also didn't say, he was like, scholarships.
Right.
Yeah.
It says scholarships. You already talked about that
Oh, the other one.
one. Move on to the next one.
Okay, thank you. Hold up. Let me just make a quick note. Net price calculators.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So at least this can give you a decent starting point. So, we have some of these through our website, kia.com, but there are other ones out there as well. But anyway, it can be a great opportunity to start comparing, side by side your different college options. And is it going to be an exact replica of what you're going to see when the actual FAFSA gets processed? No, it's not. But it is at least a good ballpark idea of what you're up against. And that will help prepare you for when you get the official aid package later on.
If it were me, if this were my student going through this process and we were in this delay and we were in this holding pattern, like Keith said and MacKenzie said about doing your research and knowing everything there is to know and kind of having your rank of like, these are the schools that I'm most interested. This is if you're a prospective college student. I mean, if you're a college student, you just keep on keeping on. But have your list of if my financial aid package comes back for school A and it looks great, that's where I'm going to go. If it comes back and it doesn't look affordable to me, I'm totally okay to end up at school B. And okay, if it doesn't come back, if neither one of those come back and look the way I think they're going to look, can I settle on C? Can I apply for more scholarships? I would have a clear plan A, B, and C at minimum of what you're going to do once your aid offers come back.
Absolutely.
Okay. Finally, we don't want to fail to mention, like MacKenzie mentioned at the beginning, there was kind of a week of like bliss where everything just worked, and we're back to seeing some glitches. So we know those are happening, and sometimes I was gonna say sometimes glitches just be glitches.
Sometimes glitches be glitches.
You gotta say that.
I love how me and Keith are both like,
You're like, what'd you see?
Right. Yeah. Stick to the script.
Stick to the script. There are glitches, and sometimes glitches are just
glitches just be glitched. You know what I'm saying?
just be glitched. We've completely fallen apart here.
We're so
Go ahead.
hungry.
Go ahead. We're so hungry. Our blood sugar is so low. There are still glitches, and sometimes those glitches, there are no workarounds, there are no good answers, there are no solutions. And I know often, people call their Kia outreach counselor, they call us, they call their financial aid directors at their colleges, and we can't fix those things. And no one can fix those things. There are just no workarounds. And so I want people to be prepared for that. I don't think there's anything wrong with once you start, if you're in your FAFSA and you start seeing some glitches, just to click save and come back later and try again. I think that's a great plan. But I know also a lot of people need to, outside of the glitches, call the FSA hotline, the 1-800-4FED-AID, for FSA ID issues, or to be, if they're locked out or if they're having something that they need some help with. And the reports and the experience have been unprecedented wait times.
Yeah.
And dropped calls. So you may be waiting on hold for a very long time, and then it just hangs up. So you're not the only one experiencing that. We're all seeing that in the field. We're all seeing that across the board. And so, this is frustrating for you, and it's also frustrating for everyone else who's filing it. There's some that go through just fine. But so just know that, and we're all picking up the phone and calling 1-800-4FED-AID. And so they're just completely inundated. So we didn't want to fail to mention that. Keith, you had a couple plugs, and then we're going to...
Yeah, as we mentioned, as of the day that we're recording this, it's February 1st, which is pretty exciting stuff around Kia parts, is that it starts FAFSA February. So you'll see a lot of social media posts throughout the month. If you go to our sister website, kygoestocollege.com.
People are celebrating just outside the door.
There we go. Absolutely.
Can you hear them?
They just heard the news.
They just heard the news.
But anyway, check out kygoestocollege.com. We have a social media toolkit on there. If you work at the college level or high school level, help us spread the word. It helps shine a light on the necessity of financial aid when it comes to being a part of that puzzle piece to help with college access. The other thing, do you want to talk a little bit about Sunday FAFSA Funday?
Sure. A new initiative all around the state of Kentucky is Sunday FAFSA Funday, not always held on Sundays. So that is, in parentheses, Sunday FAFSA Funday. College campuses across the state of Kentucky, we're up to 33 sites across the state of Kentucky. In the month of February, we'll be hosting events on their campus. These are hosted at college campuses where they are offering expert help, Kia, to help you file your FAFSA. And so that was a joke. It's not just Kia. It's financial aid offices and TRIO and all
and they came to our trainings. So
That's right. So, Kia. Just joking. So anyways, go to kygoestocollege.com, scroll down. You'll see the Sunday FAFSA Funday list of host sites. Find one near you. Head on over there and get your FAFSA filed if you haven't already. Or if you are a college access professional listening to this, reach out to that campus and see if they need more expert help, because they just might need an extra pair of hands. MacKenzie, what? Did you have something else?
I was going to say about the Sunday FAFSA Funday, we sweetened the pot a little bit too
Oh,
for
that's
some
right,
students if they
that's
do show up
right.
at one of these.
Go
So
for it.
yeah, I was just going to say, so if you do decide to go to one of these Sunday FAFSA Funday events throughout Kentucky, you can also enter for a scholarship. We're going to have a scholarship drawing at the end of the month to mark the end of FAFSA February. So it's a quick, easy scholarship to do. You just scan a QR code.
No
and
essay involved.
No essay involved. So it takes about 10 to 30 seconds to do it. And it could mean some, a decent chunk of change in your pocket to help toward these college costs.
That is correct. MacKenzie, what parting advice, words, wisdom, funny stories do you have for us? She's just going to say, I'm hungry.
Yeah. I am so scared to talk.
I've ruined her.
I have no idea. So I think my biggest piece of advice would just to be patient. Be patient and also communicate. I think that it's super important that you're communicating with your family about these things, because it is so, I feel like frustrating is a strong word. It's annoying when I know that your high school counselor has talked about parents having FSA IDs created, and we get to a FAFSA workshop and the parent doesn't have an FSA ID created. Parents, have your FSA ID created before you're getting help, because we are unable to complete the FAFSA without your FSA ID. Just do it. It might take like 10 minutes, but it's going to save you some time too. And just be patient. Be patient with your outreach counselors who are, my phone's gone off 4 times since I've been sitting here. During our break, we answered emails, we called people back, we answered text messages. So just be extremely patient, and be patient with your colleges as well. And a little piece of advice for colleges. Here comes unfiltered MacKenzie. Stop telling students that they have to have the FAFSA done right now, because I know you can't see it. So I understand that you have a lot that you have to do, but also these students are panicking. So colleges, I know that it's stressful for you, but also be patient. And
give grace.
Give lots of grace. And if you have questions, reach out to Kia too, because if y'all are getting your information from the Facebook, chances are it's probably not the same information, unless you're getting it from Kia. Facebook, follow us on X, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google, I don't know. Follow us on all the places, because we give the best advice, and it's advice that you'll need. So that's going to be my parting gift.
Don't call it a comeback. That accent's been here for years. Okay, MacKenzie, thank you so much for joining us today. And to all of you 5s of 10s of people listening to this podcast and watching us on YouTube. That's right. Hi, MacKenzie's mom. Thank you for joining us. Like MacKenzie said, follow us on our social media channels. Lots of sage advice being given out. Keep listening to Coffee with Kia. We've got fun, exciting things coming up, and more special guests, more guest hosts coming in for us. Thank you for joining us for episode 5 of Coffee for Kia. Please send us all the coffee, gift cards.
I mean, we'll take it.
Starbucks, Dunkin', we don't discriminate. Where we spill the beans about all things financial aid. Until then, happy drinking of your coffees. Get your mug. Okay, happy drinking of your coffees and FAFSA-ing. Recent guidance from Federal Student Aid has indicated that they will be updating the income protection allowance charts used in the Student Aid Index calculation to determine aid eligibility on the 24-25 FAFSA to account for inflation. This is good news because it means an additional $1.8 billion in federal aid will be made available to students.
This does, however, mean that FAFSA processing will experience additional delays, resulting in aid notifications from your colleges and universities being pushed further into the spring. Please know that your colleges and universities will work as quickly as possible after receiving FAFSA data in mid-March to get your aid notifications out to you, but they can only work as quickly as information is made available to them.
We understand that the 24-25 FAFSA is still experiencing some glitches, and that the call center for federal student aid is experiencing unprecedented call volumes, which result in long wait times and dropped calls. The chat function often has a lesser wait time, so we encourage you to try that if you have questions for federal student aid. But be patient with your outreach counselors, college financial aid offices, and the Department of Education as we all navigate this change together. Contact your Kia outreach counselor if you need assistance with your FAFSA, and hang in there, Kentucky.